You know, some person tried to tell me a few things about time and what Einstein said. And what Einstein said is just a bunch of regurgitated stuff someone told him to say, with him, Einstein himself, being the mouthpiece. Because after all, Einstein was a plagiarist, and we know from school records that he failed math. And he corrupted time to contradict what I believe Michelson morally proved, that the Earth is not doing anything. It's a stationary object, or plane, or a plane built on or situated on a level plane. No. In reality, time, there is no time. Time is just a four-letter word, T.I.M.E. It's a concept. All right. Now, there's this one person that I identify as an ignorant individual who tried to tell me that time is like a real thing. And I had to interrupt him, and I said, well, can you define that? Can you demonstrate the presence and substance of time? And he couldn't. All he could do was stutter. And I seen his hand shaking because he wanted to Google it. And I told him, no, I'm not going to Google anything. You don't Google anything. And you just have a discussion with me based on what you know or what you think you know. Right? So this guy, he memorized a lot of stuff. That's their brand of knowledge or method or identification of knowledge, to read or hear, memorize, and regurgitate, half of which they don't even understand, which is what I used to do. Now, you started off by telling me some stuff about Einstein and E equals MC squared. And I told him, that could never, ever be demonstrated because there's no object or piece of matter that could ever be propelled at the speed of light for it to slow down or exhibit or demonstrate time dilation. Okay, so then he tried to say, well, time slows down at altitude. Meaning if you go to the top of some very high mountain, time will slow down. And this is where I had to look in his eyes, because I found that in most people you can look in their eyes and determine their level of IQ. It's in their eyes. It's something I've developed, and it's not something anyone can do. And it has to do with body language, other things, but right there, right then and there, the red flag went off that this individual was in receipt of a low IQ, because I had to explain to him that time does not slow down at altitude or atop a high mountain, because the device that you think is keeping time is what slows down at altitude, not time itself, because there is no time itself. And I'll explain that further. But he thinks that at altitude, time slows down as opposed to what's going on at sea level or down where everyone else is, closer to the ground of the earth. And I told him, no, sir, the contraption or device you're using to keep time is what's slowing down. It has to do with pressure and things like that. But it's just a device. You see, because if time were real, it would be uniform. It would be relative unto itself. It would be one body. It couldn't do two things at once. You see, the only way that could occur is if whatever's doing it is sentient. Okay, and that just goes to show that time is not a thing. All right? For something to be real, be it a person, place, or thing, it has to possess presence and substance. So time could not slow down at altitude and then be running full steam normally down at sea level where everyone else is near the ground of the earth. Now, time is just a concept. If there were a real time somewhere out there above our heads, it could never be dictated by the appearance or departure of our sun. Okay? It's just a concept. It's a method to remember past acts and to plan for acts that you want to perform. I don't want to say the past or the future or the few. Yeah, that's what I want to say. I don't want to use those because there is no past and there is no future in reality. Now, I might lose a lot of you here, but if you hang on, I'll explain why. But like I said, time is not a real thing. It could never be dictated by the appearance or departure of our sun. It's a concept. It could never be dictated by day or night, you going to sleep or waking up. These are just things we do, and we develop this concept of time to keep track of an act we've already played out or things we want to play out in what we call the future. Okay, now when I say there's no yesterday or tomorrow, there isn't. You think there's a yesterday because a day and a night passed, because some big object in the sky came and went. But there is no such thing as the past or the future, because every second, and that's another concept, the second, it's just a method to see how fast something that you wind up starts and finishes. It has nothing to do with real time or seconds. Okay, we are stuck and living in the constant present. So every, and I'll use the word second, that goes by is the constant present. And that's the way it has been since day one. That's why people can't understand in eternity. Okay? We are stuck in the constant present, and the constant present could never be dictated by a daytime or a nighttime or doing work or going to sleep or the appearance or departure of the sun. Okay, so we are in the constant present, just as it was in 1941, the constant present, 1942, the constant present. You know, things rear up and things break down, yes. The laws of thermodynamics are certain, but it doesn't qualify anything to do with time. Time is just a concept. It's not real. That's all it is. But these people in science corrupt it, like Einstein. And he was just nothing but a plagiarist. And these things people can't understand, they can't realize. I realize this simple truth on my own. Time is not real. Time is not something that can slow down. And just because you take a device to the top of a mountain, you know, and it slows down, it's not time itself doing that. It's the device itself doing it. Okay? There's no such thing as time. That's why for you Christians, of who I belong to, the Bible says that a day to us is like 1,000 years to God. And that's true. There are different realms, there are different dimensions, which is why that could be easily explained to occur at the same time, because we live in a three-dimensional reality that is required for physical existence, for physical matter to exist in a three-dimensional reality. Now the fourth dimension, in my opinion, which I believe is fact, but I'll say opinion, is the spirit world, and that's where God exists. That's the true, anything close to you want to come to eternal that can exist. An eternity and living forever can never exist in a physical existence of the physical flesh, because you'd have to eliminate the laws of thermodynamics. And that cannot be eliminated. Things must break down. They must break down and renew and have cycles. So that's why these satanic scientists who are not truly atheists, they only want you to believe they're atheists to deceive you. They get credit for everyone they deceive. Just like Satan told Jesus in the Bible, it was appointed unto him to bestow and grant kingdoms to people. You know, you can go out and make your own money and become rich, but if you want the power and the rich, well, if you want to be so rich, like to become a billionaire, you would probably have to make a pact with the devil in some form. Maybe not Satan, but one of his underling pagan deities that these atheist scientists truly worship. Like NASA, you know they worship the pagan deities because that's all they name their programs and fake missions after. Apollo, Orion, Artemis. I know their last rocket was named Dragon. They're scumbags. They've deceived the nations with CGI, artist renderings, and they got fools. I don't want to call my sister a fool, but I'll call her indoctrinated. She thinks there's a contraption, a man-made object they sent to Mars. All based on CGI and a rocket blasting off that never goes straight up. It does what they call escape velocity, which is a big-time, big, fat, blatant excuse to not go straight up, because if they do go straight up, our atmosphere gets denser and denser, or thicker and thicker, until it becomes a solid. And the Bible, and anyone with an IQ over 90, calls that the firmament. And NASA calls it the Van Allen radiation belts, which I believe they counterfeited the firmament and renamed it that. But the topic of this video, because I just had a response from the jerk, the hitchhiker, a little while ago, and I believe it was him. Yeah, it might not have been, I don't know. Telling me all this nonsense about time and how particles can travel across the universe on separate trajectories but be of the same particle and do the same things over vast distances. And I used to believe that. I even had it recorded. Some guy was talking about it. And now I know that is complete absurdity. How they blatantly misdescribe the sky above us. You know, we got the same stars in the same places every day of every week of every month of every year. The sky above you is not infinite. Okay, they can aim 2 lasers at the sky and they will never cross sections. They will always come to a point. That's just so... I look at people and they're just suffering mass hypnosis. You know, self-induced too, because they'll go right to the channel and turn it right on at 6 o'clock. Their internal clocks tell them David Muir's on MSNBC, and he is one guy. There's a list I have, and I carry 500 for bail. You know, partial bail, because some of these guys, if I hit them, I'm going to get a big bail. I might get my ass whooped too. You never know. One of them might be able to fight, but I think I can take David Muir. And I'd love to see him, if he wrote a book, maybe he has, and show up for a book signing. And I'd pretend like I tripped and I tried to use his face to to stop my fall or to break it. He is a grade A scumbag. and serving propaganda. But that's it. Time is a concept. It's not real. It can't slow down. If it was real, it'd have presence and substance, and it'd be relative or uniform, and it couldn't do two things at once. Slow down up here and keep flowing normally down there. It's all ridiculous. It could never be dictated by anything in our sky or what we do during the day or night. Walking around working during the day and sleeping at night. Time is a concept, and we are stuck in the constant present. And just because the sun is out in the day and we sleep at night, that's just how we count years, to determine age. Like the Indians just said, I'm 10 summers old or 20 summers old. People count these things the way they want, but then they are they are deceived. Time cannot be slowed down. There's no such thing as time dilation. There's no such thing as going into the past or visiting the future. It's stupid because it hasn't been acted out yet. All right? There would have to, and I don't even want to start talking about other parallel, because that's bullshit. But they have to make up these other non-demonstratable things to try to explain the garbage they propose. And when you got something that can't be demonstrated, and you have to start supplying theories that can't be demonstrated to prop it up, it all falls apart, and it should fall apart. But these scumbags don't let it fall apart because they get huge amounts of money and funding to keep it going. And they don't use the money for what they said they were going to use it for, these people. And it's just a big sham that people that were like me, I used to be some of these people that classify intelligence by how much shit you can memorize and regurgitate correctly. And you call that intelligence. These people who are like that got Good Will Hunting movie. It's one of their favorite movies. And the other one with the guy from Gladiator. He was like a nutty, a crazy mathematician, but had, I don't know, ultimate personalities or some shit. But those type of movies are the ones these guys worship. So there's that.